At 0400 hours, Zulu time, a United States potassium hydride 11 reconnaissance satellite went blind. It happened in an instant. For 97 terrifying seconds, a $20 billion asset, the most advanced eye in the sky ever created by man, ceased to function over its target. That target was Parchin, Iran. So the question that is now being asked in the deepest, most secure rooms of the Pentagon is a simple one. Was this an act of war? This was not a system malfunction. It was not a solar flare. It was not a communications failure. The telemetry data is clear, and it is horrifying. As the satellite, call sign Keyhole 17, made its orbital pass 312 miles above the Iranian plateau, it was struck by a directed, focused beam of energy. It was a surgical strike, a ghost punch delivered at the speed of light. The satellite's primary optical sensors were overloaded. Its signals intelligence arrays were saturated with noise. Its systems were forced into a hard reboot cycle. 97 seconds later, it came back online. But by then, whatever happened on the ground at Parchin was over. The moment was lost. The evidence was gone. For years, the world has been watching Parchin. It is a sprawling, secretive military complex southeast of Tehran, long suspected by Western intelligence of housing a key component of Iran's clandestine nuclear weapons program. Inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency have been repeatedly denied full access, shown only sanitized buildings, and freshly paved roads designed to hide illicit activities. The focus has always been on high explosive chambers, the kind used to test and perfect the intricate trigger mechanisms for a nuclear warhead. This was the great deception. While the world was looking for evidence of a weapon from the 20th century, Iran was perfecting a weapon for the 21st. They let the world chase nuclear ghosts. They played the game of inspections and denials. All of it was a masterful piece of misdirection, a strategic lie to hide a far more dangerous truth. Because the real work at Parchin wasn't about creating a fission reaction. It was about creating something else entirely, something intelligence agencies are only now beginning to understand. Now for the first rehook. This is new intelligence, just coming in. For the past 72 hours, a U.S. Navy carrier strike group, led by the USS Theodore Roosevelt, has been holding its position in the Arabian Sea, far outside its scheduled patrol zone. The official reason is extended readiness exercises. The real reason is that a coded intercept, pulled from the airwaves just hours after the Keyhole 17 incident, contained a single, terrifying word, qalb. In Farsi, it means the core. The core is not a warhead. It is not a bomb. Intelligence sources within Mossad and the CIA are now scrambling to piece together fragmented reports, whispers from defectors, and dark market chatter about a revolutionary energy technology developed in complete secrecy. It is believed to be a compact, solid-state power source, capable of generating and discharging unheard-of levels of energy in picoseconds. Think of it not as a battery, but as a lightning storm trapped in a box. A power source that can be weaponized. A device that can power a weapon that leaves no crater, no radiation, no chemical trace. A weapon that simply turns things off. This changes everything. The entire doctrine of modern warfare is built on the supremacy of electronics. Our ships, our planes, our satellites, our command and control networks, they all run on delicate microchips. They are all vulnerable. A conventional electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, from a nuclear detonation is a brute force weapon. It's a sledgehammer that fries everything for hundreds of miles. But what Parchin has created is a scalpel, a focused, directed energy weapon powered by the core that can target a single building, a single aircraft, a single satellite, from hundreds of miles away. It's a weapon that can blind and paralyze an enemy before they even know they are under attack. The 97-second blackout of Keyhole 17 was not a malfunction. It was a demonstration. It was a shot across the bow in a war that has not yet been declared. Iran was sending a message directly to Washington and Tel Aviv. Our eyes in the sky are no longer safe. The technological superiority that the West has relied on for more than 50 years has just been rendered obsolete. And this brings us to the most critical question of all. If they can do this to a hardened military satellite in high orbit, what could they do to the power grid of a major city? Or to an incoming squadron of F-35 stealth fighters? And here is the second rehook. The story is not just in space or in Iran. It's now in Israel. At approximately 11 o'clock p.m. local time, less than 2 hours ago, the entire senior leadership of the Israeli Air Force was recalled to the Kiryat, their military headquarters in Tel Aviv. All leave has been cancelled. Air defense batteries across northern Israel, including the advanced Iron Dome and David's sling systems, have been placed on their highest level of alert since the 1973 Yom Kippur War. They are not responding to a missile threat. According to a source inside the Ministry of Defense, their early warning radars detected an anomalous atmospheric energy reading over eastern Syria, pointed directly at Israel. It lasted for 1.5 seconds, and then it vanished. The Parchin test was a vertical shot, straight up at a satellite, a proof of concept. But what if the Syrian event was a horizontal test, a range test? Iran, through its proxies in Syria, may have just test-fired this new weapon across hundreds of miles of contested airspace, aiming it at the Golan Heights to see if their most hated enemy would even notice. And they did. The Israelis have detected the ghost. They know something is out there, a new kind of threat. Their multi-billion-dollar air defense network may not be able to stop, because you cannot shoot down a beam of light. The intelligence community is now working under a terrifying new hypothesis. The Parchin deception was twofold. First, to use the nuclear program as a cover for their directed energy weapon. Second, to secretly pre-position smaller, tactical versions of this weapon with their proxies across the Middle East. In Syria, in Lebanon, with Hezbollah, in Yemen, with the Houthis. Imagine a network of these weapons, all linked, all powered by their own version of the core, able to create a perfect, interlocking field of electronic denial, an invisible wall that could shut down any plane, drone, or missile that enters their airspace. It is the ultimate anti-access/area denial, or A2AD, strategy. A technological fortress. This isn't theory. This is happening now. A German cargo ship, the MV Hannelore, transiting the Strait of Hormuz at 2 a.m, has just sent out a distress call. Its entire navigation and engine control systems have simultaneously failed. The ship is dead in the water, drifting towards Iranian territorial waters. Initial reports assumed a simple mechanical failure, but the ship's emergency transmission contained 2 words, repeated over and over: no power. No power. The vessel is a modern freighter, less than 5 years old, with multiple redundant systems. For every single one of them to fail at the exact same moment is statistically close to impossible, unless they were all turned off. A U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Farragut, is closing on the Hannellore's last known position, but its command crew is flying blind. Their primary long-range sensors are being jammed by a type of interference they have never seen before. It is not noise. It is a deafening silence. The spectrum is just empty. An Aegis-class destroyer, one of the most advanced warships ever built, is being forced to rely on visual confirmation and short-range radio. They are sailing into a trap. And this is where the story takes a turn so sharp, it redefines the entire crisis. This is the third rehook. Because while the Pentagon and the Kyria are focused on the weapon, the real threat is the man who built it. His name is Dr. Arash Kamali, a physicist, educated at Sharif University in Tehran, and then, surprisingly, at MIT. He was the ghost in Iran's machine, the lead architect of Project Neghab Persian for MASC, the official code name for the directed energy program. For 15 years, he was the country's most valuable and most secret scientific asset. And 3 weeks ago, he vanished. The assumption within Western intelligence was that he had defected, a prize of unimaginable value. But he never made contact, not with the CIA in Ankara, not with MI6 in Dubai, not with Mossad in Baku. He simply disappeared off the face of the earth. But what if he wasn't defecting from Iran to the West? What if he was defecting from everyone? The events of the last few weeks are not Iran testing its new weapon. It's Arash Kamali demonstrating his product. He didn't just leave with the blueprints in his head. Intelligence now believes he smuggled out the only fully functional, portable version of the core, the power source. Iran has the weapon system, the delivery platforms they built at Parchin, but Kamali has the heart. He holds the key to the lightning storm, and he is now the most dangerous man on the planet. Why would he do this? Why betray his country and unleash this technology on the world? Because in 2012, Kamali's wife and children were killed in a car accident on the road to Isfahan. An accident Kamali has always believed was not an accident. He suspected it was a message from the Revolutionary Guard, a warning to keep him in line after he expressed moral objections to the weaponization of his research. He was a patriot who loved his country, but he came to hate the regime that ran it. And he blames the West, with its crippling sanctions and covert actions, for creating the paranoia and pressure inside Iran that led to his family's death. He doesn't see a difference between the zealots in Tehran and the strategists in Washington. To him, They are all just players in a game that cost him everything. So he has decided to burn the entire game board to the ground. The satellite, the Syrian test, the cargo ship. These were not military operations. They were items in a sales catalog. An auction. Kamali is sending a message to every rogue state, every terrorist network, every shadowy corporation on the planet. The ultimate power is for sale. The power to turn off your enemies. And just minutes ago, an encrypted channel, monitored by the NSA at Fort Meade, received its first message from the Ghost. The message wasn't sent to a government. It was sent to a private, encrypted server in Zurich, a server known to be a digital marketplace for the world's most powerful arms dealers. The message contained only a string of coordinates, pointing to a desolate spot in the Somali desert, a date for 48 hours from now, and a single sentence in Farsi. The price of the sky is the will to own it. The race is on. For 48 hours, the world's intelligence agencies and military forces engage in a shadow war, a mad scramble to get to Somalia first. A Delta Force team is spun up out of Djibouti. Russian Spetsnaz are activated from their base in Sudan. China's elite Snow Leopard unit is dispatched, and a dozen other, darker players move their own pieces across the board. The world's predators are all converging on a single spot in the desert, drawn by the promise of ultimate power. But at Fort Meade, one junior NSA analyst can't shake a feeling of deep unease. The message. It's too simple, too clean. Kamali is a genius. A man who thinks in 4 dimensions. He doesn't send simple messages. He designs them. For 2 days, she ignores the tactical chatter and focuses on the signal itself. Not the words, but the digital architecture of the transmission. The encryption wasn't just a lock. It was a cage. And then she sees it. The coordinates for Somalia were the bait. The real message was in the timestamp, the packet sequencing, the very background radiation of the broadcast. It wasn't a location. It was an algorithm, a firing solution. Kamali wasn't inviting warlords to a dusty patch of sand. He was telling the world exactly where he was aiming, and he wasn't aiming at anything on Earth. His research at MIT, it wasn't just about directed energy. It was about harmonic resonance. He didn't build a weapon that shoots a single, powerful bolt of lightning. He built a tuning fork, a device designed to resonate with the specific frequencies of modern satellite communication systems. He doesn't have to shoot them all down. He just has to strike one note, and the entire crystal lattice of our global network will shatter. The Delta team in Somalia finds the transmitter. It's broadcasting a loop, a recording of a child's laughter. His daughter's. It was never an auction. It was a countdown, a final, grand deception to focus the world's eyes on the ground while he aimed for the heavens, to pull every player he despised onto one square of the board just before he flipped it over. He didn't sell the storm. He unleashed it. He didn't just give one nation the power to blind its enemies. He has blinded everyone. GPS, global communications, banking, logistics, military command and control. In a single, silent moment, Arash Kamali has thrown the entire planet back into the dark. He hasn't changed the balance of power. He has erased it. This is no longer a crisis. This is a new epoch. A world without eyes in the sky. A world where every border is now the front line. The game hasn't just been reset. A new, far more brutal one is about to begin. The price of the sky was the sky itself. And now, we have all been forced to pay it. The old world just ended. To understand what comes next, you need to see the whole board. You need to be on the front. Subscribe to breaking_the_.